this part on page like 186 where he says, eventually all your actions are subject to God's final judgment. This has led the church today to continually psychologize the gospel and reduce the meaning of salvation to the healing of the heart. Now, right there, I can tell you most Westerners are like, wait, what? Wait, what else is it for? But then he brings it out. He said, it's very difficult for us to preach the gospel of the, quote, the one eternal power, end quote. On Christmas Eve, when we remember the birth of Jesus Christ, we can hardly even proclaim, behold, the government shall be upon his shoulder. Isaiah 9:6, something that Westerners don't know what to do with. They kind of just skip over it because we don't know exactly how the government is going to be. We can see that at the end of time, but he mentions elsewhere in the book, and I can't remember where it is right now, and I've written down a lot of his quotes, but he mentions basically that, and going back to the quote I mentioned earlier, the more darker that is, the more important our role is. I think, though, in the West, it doesn't feel dark. It's hard to feel dark when you've got your nice 2 cars, kids are in school and all the athletic pursuits, and you're in church on Sunday. And again, I'm not saying that we have to go out and seek for persecution. I just don't know if we see the depth of the reality of what the gospel costs to people in other cultures, although our culture is shifting very quickly. And I think that we might become aware of it now. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I was just going to say though, that I think, I think you have to ask yourself too, though, like, is it really any less dark here? It might not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like it might not. And that's what I mean by, like, it's so easy for us to distract ourselves with our comforts, like, yes, we aren't, our pastors are not being threatened with being put in jail. So yeah, on one level, for sure.
Yeah.
We would say, like, it's not dark here in the same way. Yeah. At the same time, how much are our 2 cars and our flat screen TVs and our comfortable houses just hiding the brokenness of our reality, and just kind of putting wool over our eyes of the darkness that is here, and I think that's what I mean by, like, all people are fallen, all people everywhere live in a world that is marked by suffering. There have been times and places where that gets, well, I don't know, it depends on how you want to view it. There are times and places where that might be more redeemed, or, God may bless a particular place. There may be more of a presence of the church, and it is actually brighter, But I think there also are times and places where we might just be fooling ourselves, like all of the glitzy things are just hiding a level of brokenness that we haven't really confronted or dealt with or confessed as the church. And I think, another big theme that Wang Yi talks about in the book that I think is very applicable outside of China is this question of allegiance, and what is your ultimate allegiance? What is your ultimate love in life? And, one way to put it is who's your king, who rules the desires of your heart. And I think this is where I think China and America are not that different from each other. In both places, materialism and material gain are really, at the end of the day, what rules all of us, and those are the things we need to repent of, and we have that in common with them. And, all of these pastors, they go write their sermons on laptops in coffee shops like we do, like there are some things that are very different about China. There are a lot of things that are very, very similar. And just the temptations and the kind of ways that Christians can be lulled into contentment by just the material the materialism around us. So, that's one of the main ways that the Chinese Communist Party has succeeded in recent decades is by the sheer material wealth that China has accumulated, and so much of the bargain with their people has been, you keep us in power and we'll keep you materially successful and, ensure that you have a nice, stable life. And, I don't, again, we're not talking about, we are not living in communist China here in, 21st century America. But I do also think there are places in which Americans and American Christians fall prey to a similar bargain of saying, we'll keep our comforts and, water down what it means to be the church.